Ladies and gentlemen, I have some big news to share with all of you today. When the news of Hiyuki's drip marketing and, of course, all of the wonderful things that comes alongside that was actually dropped, I was in the middle of taking a dump. And I made a massive sacrifice. I pinched the loaf so I could be with all of you today to experience this wonderful phenomenon that we got over here. And boy, oh boy, after I've taken a look at this, I gotta say, it was worth it. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's start talking about this one because my, oh my, is this just magnificent. All right, so right over here, we're gonna have the post-lament anthro. I'm not even gonna try to say that shit. The collective pursues what is right, but your quest to save the one you hold dear, that I understand. And that's going to be a quote by Hiyuki. So obviously, right, I think the first thing that she's talking about right off the rip is, of course, going to be the massive tragedy surrounding Wuthering Waves 3.1.
A laser sword.
And of course, the girl with her laser sword over here. And I think that's pretty much just confirmation from Kuro's end that Hiyuki's going to have a massive story role. Wuthering Waves 3.3, the anniversary, is basically just going to be a story patch. I'm certain that the adventure that we're going to be going on is going to involve saving her. Maybe with some collaboration from Chisa, maybe with this person like opening the Strider Gate, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff's going to be put together. And my personal take is that Lahai Roy is going to be concluded in version 3.3 and probably going to move somewhere new beyond that. And that, to me, like hearing this quote over here, that seems to be a definitive sign that that's actually what's going to happen. So reading on, let's see what role she's probably going to play. Hiyuki, a member of the Special Response Force, is the embodiment of icy purity. Man, who could have thought? Who could have thought that she was going to be Glacial? I had no idea. Man, Kuro Gaze really is really surprising us with some of these character releases. Yeah, I don't think anyone thought she was going to be Glacial until now. But yeah, reading further, the wishes entrusted to her in her brief encounters with others. The wishes entrusted to her in her brief encounters with others drive her on, carving a path forward. And so one thing that's pretty clear is that Hiyuki probably has had some interaction with Chisa's parents. That's where they kind of got like the little charm from, right? That is in like one of her cherished items. And that's likely where that relationship actually started. And we all know that she's represented by like doves in the story. They're like floating around in Honami City. So that's kind of like where we're getting, I guess, more and more of those wishes. Maybe Chisa's wish was to escape Honami City, and then Hiyuki's actually the one that ended up bringing her over here. So, yeah, that's, I think, the main thing that we're going to get from the whole story breakdown. Now let's actually start taking a look at this splash art, because holy shit, I think this has to be one of the craziest ones yet. So, just taking a bit of a look overall at her design, we've got her, obviously, in her whole Miko glory. We've got her in a bit of, like, a desolate-looking frost wasteland. Kind of, like, makes sense, right, considering where the fuck we are in the story. And she's holding, just straight up, an icy katana. Let's be real here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we've actually had like a straight katana user in the game before. And what's something that we all know about katana users? They're supposed to use like a judgment cut. And I am thinking that this unit, being the first unit of the anniversary, she's basically going to be like Virgil. I hope she's like Virgil, and I hope she's an absolute badass, because let's just be entirely real over here. This probably has to be one of the sickest designs we've ever seen in the history of the game, and we haven't really gotten a fighter like this in Wuthering Waves yet. And I feel like Kuro has been holding out on that moveset naturally, because we've got Alpha from Punishing Gray Raven, all of that aesthetic, and well, let's just be real here. That shit is absolutely badass. So, yeah, I don't think that there's any surprise at all that she's the person that's going to be sort of breaking that seal. And I am certain that when it comes to her animations, they're going to be so wild and they're going to be so crazy that I'm certain that Jeff Keighley is going to be coming out with some leaks of her gameplay relatively soon. Because 3.2, as we all know, doesn't have a second half unit to it. And I think Hiyuki, with her marketing starting right now, and of course, all the stuff that's going to follow, I'm pretty certain that she's basically the second half character, but we're just going to have to wait extra long for her. I think this also means that Life Lessons theory that, you know, she's supposed to be like an older version of Chisa. I don't really know about that one, because it seems like we're getting the whole history of her and like her past, either her past lives or everything that she's been up to in the background over here. I think this is the order that it's going from. this was like the start when she maybe like received some of like her icy powers or something like that. This is as she like got older. Looks like she's almost like fighting with like a club or something. Then she became like a ninja, and I guess fully had her hair like turn white or something. And then she became like some sort of like warlord or commander, I would assume. And then maybe she like retired. Then she decided to cosplay Chu-Yan for fun while shooting arrows. Not really sure how that's supposed to work, because, like, she's blindfolded, and I don't know how you aim like that, but I don't know, maybe she's just, like, built different or something like that. So that's kind of, like, the vibe that I'm getting over here. She kind of has been all around the world, has been taking up a bunch of different hobbies, and I guess she decided to settle on a badass katana samurai shrine maiden thing over here. I do wonder if this whole, like, this whole wish thing that she's talking about over here, it kind of encompasses all the different professions that she's had. Oh, wait a second. Wait, I forgot. She has like this one where she had like a fan. Maybe she was like a, yeah, I'm not going to say it. I don't really like, I don't really get vibes other than that from like, yeah, it's like a courtesan or something. Yeah. But yeah, this seems like the final version that we're going to be getting over here, having all of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different lives. 8 different lives. And maybe this looks like this is her 9th and final one. Maybe she's a bit like a cat. And we all know there's something about cats, right? From her story over here with the black cat. You know, cats have 9 lives. And then we all know Rover is also supposed to be the black cat in the story. And so maybe, right? We all know something that goes on with the cats, right? And I think this might be one of the craziest story reveals yet when it comes to her. I'm assuming she's a cat. We all know what the elusive realm is all about, right? There's a black cat in there that I think is supposed to represent Rover. And then there's also the white cat as well. So maybe that's who she is. Maybe she's the person across her multiple lives, because we know Rover has lived for a very, very, very long time. Maybe Hiyuki's actually the one that built the Sanwar, built the elusive realm with Rover. That's what I would assume. I'll take full credit for that one. I just came up with it on the spot. So any lore YouTubers, any lore theory crafters that decide to take some inspiration from what I just said, make sure you give me some credit, motherfucker. Because yeah, no, I've been popping off today. So yeah, that is going to be like my overall analysis over here. I have no idea what this blossom is supposed to be. Is that like supposed to be a Blake bloom or something? That doesn't look like the Black Shores. So, maybe she's like an adjacent organization. I feel like we haven't learned very much at all about the collective or the special response force, but it's also like a flower. And we all know that the Black Shores is also a flower, so maybe they're like related in some way. And it would make sense, right? It would make sense if maybe this was like some sort of like counterpart to the Black Shores, because like, you know, they're like, the Black Shores are black because the black cat Rover made it. And then this could be like, I don't know, like the White Shores or something because the white cat made it. You guys kind of like get what I'm talking about, right? Like I'm like spitting over here. I know I am. Overall though, huge lore implications, I feel like, for people that are digging deep over here. And naturally, we all know, right? You just have to take a look at the live stream itself. I don't think anyone actually gives a flying fuck about anything that was in this live stream other than, naturally, her. And we all know something that's going to be very, very big coming up in the story. We're going to be getting a bigger lore reveal when it surrounds her relationship with Lucilla. And of course, we're going to be getting exposed a lot more to her throughout the sort of like segue after story quest. And there's also going to be like an event where a Black Shores Bloombearer talks about rumors of the Ghost Miko. Legends, whispers that seem to echo across her distant homeland. And so maybe this is where we're going to get an even bigger exposure to everything that she's going to be about. Remember that I said the marketing for her basically makes her the second half character for 3.2? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the final confirmation is here with the reveal of this bad boy. So, yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about what I think she's going to do on the battlefield. Let's be real here. This is going to be the second Glacio character that we've essentially had in the history of the game, coming from limited banners. The first was Okay, well, Glacio DPS, right? The first was Carlotta. And Carlotta was released in, like, bro, you can see how far down the character list she is, man. She was released in, like, 2.0 over a goddamn year ago. And we just have not had a single addition to the Glacio roster yet. And so I'm just thinking over here, right? It probably makes a ton of sense for her to be Glacio, but I think Kuro's going to spice it up a little bit. And let me just take a second to look up this little article over here, talking a bit about Glacio Chafe, thanks to Game 8. And so the way that Glacio Chafe actually works is that the target receives Glacio damage every single time it's inflicted. It stacks up to 10 times, and the higher the stacks, the more damage dealt. And when it reaches its maximum stacks, it debuffs move speed along the way. The target's going to be frozen, and all stacks of Glacio Chafe will be removed. And if you actually read the way it operates and you read the way it works, it actually functions almost completely similarly to Fusion Burst, where you build up a certain number of Fusion Burst stacks, they explode, and then they explode to deal additional damage based off of, well, how many stacks you had. And Chisa's that character, right, that increases the upper stack limit of all these debuffs. She increases the upper stack limit given her outro skill over here. And she just works universally across pretty much every single debuff in the game, and or negative status in the game. And what's very, very, very clear about this unit is that she has been one of the most worthless units on the roster for pretty much, you know, every single day since her release. She had one team when she released back in like November 20-something or whatever, and she hasn't had any new teams since. No, Ameth's Fusion Burst team over here, no, this shit does not count because it's absolute garbage. And we're basically waiting until the user of the Fusion Burst set, you know, the new Sonata set that came out in 3.1, we're waiting for the user of that one before any of this business can happen over here. And so the end result is that this character has felt like she's been absolute doo-doo water in terms of value. And she actually re-ran back in 3.1 to absolutely no fanfare at all because she still didn't get any new fucking teams. However, I think this is where stuff's going to change. I think this is where we're going to have a big difference being made, because if Hiyuki is not Glacio Chafe, then I think we're going to have a massive problem, because then the two Japanese characters are not going to be able to work with each other. And, well, we're only going to have two Japanese characters in the game, and the Japanese character has the katana. So, like, come on, guys. The other alternative is that maybe there's a possibility that she won't be Glacio Chafe in her other resonance form. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am praying and I am hoping that Hiyuki is actually one of those characters that essentially gets to serve dual purposes. And I think as an anniversary unit, I think as one that's hyped to the level, you know, with the moveset that looks like this, I think she would be the perfect option to implement this sort of mechanic. And let's be entirely honest here, it makes you feel like you get two characters for the price of one. We still haven't really realized that part of the deal with Ameth yet, because we still need that Fusion Burst sub DPS. But once we do have her, or him, whoever it's going to be, it's going to be right there. The 2-for-1 character special, two different team comps using two entirely different units, or using two entirely different units on each side. And, well, I think that would really fit the image perfectly. And, I'm going to be honest, it does look like there's some sort of like, I know this is going to make people think that the game's just straight up copying ZZZ. I'm getting the vibes that there's almost like some sort of like Frostfire effect going on over here, where she's kind of got like this haze coming off of her blade that does look like, well, ice doesn't do that, right? Fire does that. And so maybe she's going to have like a dual resonance mode where one's like fusion or something, and then the other is Glacio, and that one's like the Glacio Chafe one. That could entirely be something that Kuro decides to do as well. And I'm going to be honest, the sky is the limit ever since they introduced this mechanic, and I'm hoping that they choose to explore it more, especially with these sort of like higher budget, higher fidelity, higher quality characters. Because, yeah, I think her animations are going to be absolutely baller. So that's going to be my take on what I feel like she's going to do, the role that she's going to play on the battlefield. And I'm hoping that Kuro Games does not disappoint us, and we start to see, well, some absolutely ridiculous shit moving forward. So, yeah, that's going to be my analysis of the splash art, my analysis of all this stuff over here. Maybe she's going to, I don't know, pull out the bow and arrow and the blindfold and, you know, just miss all of her shots. That could be something nice as well. I also, maybe this is something she's going to do as well. Her ultimate animation is like her summoning. This would be badass. The past 8 versions of herself, and then they all, like, attack or something. Just saying. Right? Like, that would be fucking badass, too. Like, maybe, yeah, like ice clones or something like that, and they're all, like, the past versions of herself, and they all, like, slashed or something. Yeah, that'd be badass, too. Yeah, that would definitely, yeah, the credit cards would be going to their limit for that one. Now, to wrap it all up, we've got this reveal over here, and this is going to give us some extra lore and probably just confirm her attribute even further. Post-lament Anthropocene stars I don't even know why I try to read that shit. With her Suzu, Hiyuki can perceive and utilize future possibilities of herself. As crystals take form and snowflakes fall, Hiyuki raises her sword and strikes out with lightning speed. Oh, these dogs over at Kuro Games making us think that, you know, I think that's just an Alpha Crimson Weave reference because Alpha Crimson Weave is a lightning character in Punishing Grey Raven. So, no, she's not going to be fucking Electro. If she is Electro, I am going to be a little bit pissed. Maybe that's going to be her second form. Who knows? So let's take a look. Wait, why is that music so crazy? Wait. What the? Would you expect music like that for an outfit like this? Hell no. What? Damn, that shit is kind of upbeat. All right, that's the flower. She does a little slash. Focus on the past versions of herself. Oh, they know what they're doing with this one. Oh, they know what they're doing with this one. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's just say that this one's going to be absolutely crazy. And I am very excited to be along with you for the ride. Let's see how much lore reveals we actually get throughout this event. And I would not be surprised at all if we end up seeing... What the hell? Where the hell's Denya? You already see her right there. I'm not able to find her in this goddamn timestamp. I would not be surprised at all if we see her tomorrow. Because why do you think they were marketed so much during this patch? All right. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.